The Australians finally turned up and had their absolute best showing in this series after going down 2-0. They lost Nagpur by a whopping margin, lost Delhi as well, and here they are in Indore at the end of day one. They're ahead by 47 runs. India won the toss, bundled out for 109, a 5 wicket haul for Matt Kuhneman, wickets for the other spinners as well. In reply, though, Australia looked a lot more comfortable than they have ever in this Border Gavaskar series in 2023. Dinesh Karthik joins me on Cricbuzz Chatter. Dinesh, did the day pan out the way you expected, or are you as surprised as 1.4 billion Indians?
I think a lot happened in the first session. Definitely with the ball and the fact that we played some shots thinking that the wicket will obviously not play out the way it did towards the end. But must give credit to Australian bowlers as well. They bowled some good balls. They created pressure. They constantly kept at the Indian batsmen. And when we want to bowl, I do think we bowled slightly fuller than what was necessary. I think the length was something that wasn't consistent from the Indian bowlers. We saw a bit of that in the second day in Delhi in the last session when they bowled those 10, 12 overs where they got where they got scored at about 5 runs and over when they got 60 runs out for the loss of 1 wicket. Similar sort of lengths. I think when they fall back, when they go and have a look, they will know that they haven't bowled consistently in terms of length. That is what the bowlers will be a little disappointed with. Yes, we have 4 wickets, and the game could have easily drifted away and gone to a very different place, but they have kept it in such a way that it has not completely gone out of their hands.
Now, for those who did not watch the test match, especially the first couple of sessions of day one, would have seen the scorecard and said India all out 109. Is it that kind of track once again? When you saw the pitch this morning, did it look like 109 pitch to you?
No, in fact, I thought it'll be a 250, 260 sort of track, but have to admit that it wasn't easy batting in the morning because there was a bit of dew, there was a bit of moisture. The wicket looked dry. I saw it and it felt dry, but I didn't realize that it'll have a little bit of moisture content underneath. That's why you saw those balls turning, even the ones that were bowled fast and flat. The moment when bowlers start bowling faster and flatter and those turn, then as a batter you have to obviously try and go to plan B, which is probably to attack a little more than what you would like.
We saw the Aussies really grind it out. They seem to bat with a lot of clarity today. We saw that kind of grit, which was perhaps missing in Nagpur and Delhi. Credit where it's due. They stuck to their approach. They didn't try anything fancy. The sweep shot wasn't there as well. They played with the turn. What did you make of Australia's overall batting philosophy on day one of this test?
I think the standout batsman was Usman Khwaja because he defended beautifully. He's got low hands, so he gets nicely on top of the ball, and he's able to play those ones that keep a little low much better than other batters and didn't get very frazzled when the ball turned or when did things that it usually wouldn't, and that is a sign of a batsman who's confident. And you can see Usman Khwaja was in many ways shepherding that batting lineup, and he was batting really well till he got out. And the others around him chipped in. Everybody got a 25, 30, and uh, and that's why they're at this precarious place right now where they're comfortable but not too comfortable because they would know that the Indian team comes back and comes back really hard, and they would also know that the Indian team bats differently, will bat differently when they come out in the second inning. So overall, I think Usman Khwaja batted beautifully. Manas Labuschagne also, I think, applied himself a touch lucky, but that's fine in these kind of pitches. You do need a little bit of luck. He rode his luck, but batted really well till he was there. Steven Smith was looking really good till he got out. But I must say, Hanscom, as usual, that we're used to, came out there, smothered the spin, and defended really well. And Cameron Green, who's an interesting player, went for big bucks in the auction. So a lot of eyes on him per se because he's a special player. He's one of those players who brings great balance to the Australian team, and the fact that he's good with the bat and ball and consistent at that is something that is very special from his side.
After India got out for 109, Usman Khwaja for Australia seemed to be batting on a very different pitch. He was completely at ease, 21st half century, second in this series as well. He played spin so beautifully. How good he was today.
I think he has a good game plan worked out against spin where he's defending and mixing his odd sweep shot. Sometimes he's done it a bit too much and that's led to his downfall. I think he's aware of that. But what is really good is when he's defended, he's played it with soft hands. And also we have to remember technique plays a very important role. And what he has got personally that is going for him when he plays spin is his low hands. So he's able to deal with the one that turns away a lot more. When you have low hands, what you will have is a lot of control. Power will be a little less, and that's why you see that when he defends he's very confident, and also when it's slightly full, unlike others, he doesn't come really hard on the ball. ball, just times it between the gap unless it is really full, which is a unique skill for an Australian because he has got good wrists. He's very Asian in the way he plays spin, and that's one of the reasons why he's been so successful as an Australian batter so far in the series. Interestingly, he's got out to pace in the first test, in the first innings, but after that, I think he's made a game plan which is suiting his mindset, which is somewhere is attacking in the sense that he's constantly rotating strike. He knows getting boundaries might be hard, so he's looking constantly for the single options. And also, he's playing a bit of a cat and mouse game with the bowlers where he's reverse sweeping or sweeping the odd one. And then the bowler thinks, okay, he might do that, so I might need to bowl fuller. And those balls he's been able to put away for a single or a boundary. So he's batted really well and has also used his game plan really well.
Yes, while you were on air on commentary in Indore, we got a lot of questions from our viewers on Twitter with hashtag Cricbuzz Chatter. I'm going to paraphrase this one, which refers to when India got out for 109, the belief was that Australia will fail as well. Uh, the question is, did India get complacent with the ball after having bundled out Australia earlier in Delhi and Nagpur? DK, you reckon India were complacent?
No, I don't think they got complacent. I think their skill level was not up to the mark. I don't think complacency is a term that you could use because when you're playing for a country and you know when you're playing against a nation like Australia, every day is a different day and every game is a different game. They are going to come out firing because they're a good team. They've done well in the recent past and they're not going to go down without a fight every game. And you can see they've bounced back and bounced back nicely. And I don't think the bowlers were complacent, but yes, I think they were slightly fuller. They bowled a lot more loose deliveries, which didn't get away, which didn't get put away for boundaries, but they helped. Obviously, the fact that the Australia just rather Australia had got India 109, so Rohit as a captain had to set in out fields, which in turn gave them the options to take a lot more singles, and that is what Australia did. They took those singles, they made sure they weren't stranded at one end for too long. The bowlers couldn't plan to get a batsman out. They had to rely a lot more on the pitch to help them. And when you bowl slightly fuller, pitch slightly tends to go out of the equation, and they made things look much easier with the fact that they defended well and they kept taking the singles.
There's someone who's been doing the job for India with the bat and the ball. Sir Ravindra Jadeja was at it once again. All four of Australia's wicket to Ravindra Jadeja. He had a bit of an on and off day. He bowled really well and then bowled too full. Is that a fair assessment to make? Were you happy with what Jadeja did? Was it glass half full or half empty?
I mean, the figures suggest that he's got 4 wickets and he's been the best bowler. But I think personally, this has not been his best spell so far in the series. I think he bowled a better spell in Delhi. I think he's bowled better spells in this series. It's not been his best day, but that also shows his quality. Even on his not so good day, he's able to pick 4 wickets. He's bowled some good balls to get batsmen out, and he's constantly troubled the batters. The one thing he will be aware of is every time he's hit length, the batsmen have struggled. The one's turned, one is kept straight. He got literally Manas Labuschagne twice or thrice maybe before he really got him out. So, he's put pressure on the batters. All the batters are aware that, Jadeja is not somebody you can take lightly. And that is shown with the kind of skill he's showing with the ball.
Is Australia find themselves 47 runs ahead at the end of day one of this third test match. And one of the reasons it has panned out the way it has is because India did not bat well in the first innings after winning the toss. And that allows me to put TK in the hotspot. DK, hardly any runs from Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, Surya Kumar Yadav earlier, Shreyas didn't do well. Is it time India should start worrying about this middle order slump?
Look, I keep going back to what I've always said. It's very hard to judge a batter on these pitches. I think it's very hard and a tad bit unfair because let's take Virat Kohli as a case in point. Till the time he is batted, he looks solid. You get the feeling that he's been the best batter and his process towards every ball has been consistent. He's looked really good. So when that happens, how can you look past that? It would be rather silly or trivial to look past that because here is probably one of the world's best batters, India's best test batter, showing again why he is so good. And he is getting a ball that sometimes on these kind of pitches is hard to play. Now, you can ask me the question saying, Dinesh, if he's the best batter, he should be playing that and scoring runs. Akshar is scoring runs, Ashwin is scoring runs. So, what is different? But it's a different ball game, and the ball is newer, harder. And when your lone skill is as a batter, it's a different pressure altogether. But is he looking good till he lasts? Yes. I think it is very unfair to judge the batters based on this performance because you put anybody else in their place and the same result will follow because it's not easy. You're not going to say that, there's a runaway performer that we have just left behind. Let's take the example of KL Rahul being replaced by Shubman Gill. He was looking really good, Shubman Gill, but he got one bad shot that he played, nicked off, got caught at slip. So it's not easy for any batter out there. And I think that amount of empathy we need to have. We are playing on pitches which are supporting and suiting the bowlers a lot more. So it's more fair to judge the bowlers, the spinners mainly on these kind of pitches, than go after the top order batsmen with stats which can be very miscued, because the stats that have been shown are over a period of time and they're played on very different pitches to what we are playing right now. Can they be judged? Yes, they will be judged. They will be under the scanner. But we need to take a more lenient approach when you play on these kind of pitches, which seem to have a little bit of luck involved at times. And that is what makes judging batsmen on these pitches very tricky.
Now, India went into this test match with two changes. KL Rahul out, Shubman Gill in. Umesh Yadav in, Mohammad Shami rested. Your thoughts?
I was surprised at Mohammad Shami because I just expected him to play because he had a 10-day break. But if they have given him a workload management based excuse, and I can understand that, it could be a niggle. It could be the fact that he's obviously have another test match and then the ODIs to follow, followed by the IPL. So he's got a lot of game time in the near future. And if we don't know where Bumrah's fitness is, so it's important that we need to make sure our fast bowlers are taken care of like gold dust, because we have important matches coming ahead in the near future as well. Is the change warranted? I can understand where it's coming from. When it comes to KL, I think we've discussed in detail and we expected it to a large point.
And two forced changes for Australia. Pat Cummins has gone back home, so has David Warner, and Mitchell Stark came in, and so did Cameron Green. So, does this look like their best possible combination?
I think in terms of a combination, this is the strongest 11, without a shadow of doubt for me, because they have two fast bowlers, one being an all-rounder helps them even further. They have three gun spinners. They're able to constantly apply the pressure on India. And you have a fast bowler who's a left armer who will not only aid the off spinners because of the footmarks that he creates, but he's also creating opportunities for you. He created opportunities for you, and that's worth its weight in gold. So for me, this is arguably the strongest 11 that they can put out in terms of a bowling attack and a combination. Yes, you have a David Warner there, you have the likes of a Matt Renshaw. It may be they could play, they need not play, that is different. But you would say in terms of bowling and the combination, I think they've got their perfect 11 for this game.
We've done a detailed look back with Dinesh Karthik on Cricbuzz Chatter. Time now to look ahead with Fast Forward. So, DK, Australia 47 ahead. Look into your imaginary crystal ball and tell me what's in store for everyone, for both teams on day two.
I think for me, if they're able to restrict Australia under 100, I think it's a good effort. Number one. And if India are able to get 250, 260 runs, it's phenomenal, which would mean that they have a lead of 150, 160. 150, 160, I think Australia will find it very challenging on this pitch to get in the fourth innings. And that's what I feel about this test match. But for once, this game, they've actually come ahead. Now, whether they're going to hold on to that initiative and find a way to crush India, or they're going to give it back to India. And India, just like previously in the last couple of test matches that they've played, are they going to just roll Australia over and then put them under the mat? It's going to be a riveting couple of days coming up.
Australia had a pretty good day, dominated day one of this third test match. They would have heaved a sigh of relief seeing most things work. Wickets spinners, Matt Kuhneman, a fifer, runs for Usman Khwaja as well. And at the end of day one, the visitors are in the lead by 47 runs. It's going to be a challenging day for Rohit Sharma and co on this Holkar Cricket Stadium pitch. Whatever happens day two, Dinesh Karthik and I will be back with Quick Buzz Chatter at Stumps.
See you.
Do join
Bye
us. We'll
bye.
see you tomorrow.